Hi, welcome to my guitar demonstration and play along with this excerpt from Barry Galbraith's book. The book is called Barry Galbraith Jazz Guitar Study Series, Book 1, The Fingerboard Workbook, Concepts and Logical Fingering. So today I'm doing page 4 from the book. So I guess I'll just start right from the top there. So what he has there, he's calling that C major 9 chord. So what you'll notice is I'm taking some of his concepts from the page. You'll see the PDF is linked below. I'm taking those concepts and I'm adding in some extra chords, and I also did some. I'll talk about some different ways you can play these. So the first two examples, he's saying second position, one finger to each consecutive fret. So he's just showing you position fingering. So that's the first one, and then I'll look at the second one also quickly. So this one is third position, key of E flat. I've changed up some of the chords, but everything is one finger per fret. Diminished arpeggio. Yeah, so he's taking that diminished arpeggio for the 5 chord. Even though in the book he doesn't really necessarily state that, but I'm just kind of taking some liberties there. Okay, so then I'm kind of purposely not using guitar tab for this one. So if you can't read music, you either have to just watch a bunch of times, use your ear, or maybe learn that skill. Like right now, I'm learning I'm a long time Logic Pro user. I've been spending about over a month now learning how to use Ableton Live. So I'm an older player, older person, and I'm learning a new skill. So maybe if you're a younger person, middle age, maybe if you don't know how to read music on guitar, maybe this can encourage you to do that. Because if you can read music, then you can take one thing and turn it into 5 different things. So if I wanted to play this same thing here up an octave, I could play it right here. Right, and that one just happens to all fall in one position. I'll do that one more time. So I would encourage you to do that. You can move it to different keys, which I won't do today. I'll move it to maybe at least one more spot. So you can do the same thing here. So you get some different timbres for the guitar when you do this. So one more time there. So there's other places you can play that. I think I'll just stick with that. Okay, so now this the second example. So you notice I did E flat major 7, E flat 6th, and then I went to B7 flat 9, and then to E flat major 7. So those are the chords that I entered into my iPad, and then I exported out the MIDI file into Ableton Live. So I think I've talked about this before. First track, I just used a C major 9 chord, and then I have I think it's just a piano track there, just piano, a grand piano and a Rhodes piano. So here, E flat major 7, E flat 6, pretty standard chords. D diminished, and then the bass player is playing B flat, the bass, and then the E flat major 7. All right, so then this one here, I guess I went up to here for the B flat. Diminish. One more time on that one. Okay, I'll move that one somewhere. Okay, I'll move that one here. Diminish. One more time. So once again, no guitar tab. So if you can read the music and you know where your notes are, then you can take different phrases and you can come up with different fingerings. Okay, so then for this one here, I don't think I did this in a playing example, but I did when I was practicing this. So this one here, You can move up to here, up to octave. Right, and then I will point out that the point that he's making in this part of the book. This is the very first couple pages of the book. The first two examples are played in position. These next four examples, he's talking about using the first finger and the fourth finger to change position. So that's kind of what you're doing there. Now, as you move the phrases to different positions, it's not necessarily going to work. The fingering's not going to work out the same way. So yeah, so there it doesn't really make sense to use the first finger there. Just use the first and second fingers here. Let me try to move that one more spot. How about go here? So this is a really, really useful thing to do, to take one thing and then move it to different string groups. And depending on what kind of guitar you're playing, what kind of amp you're playing through, you're going to get different kind of timbres or tone qualities. Okay, and then I'll talk briefly about my guitar tone. So what I'm doing is I'm using a fairly kind of overdriven sound. I'm playing through a 1 watt black hard amp. My guitar is all the way up, and I have my tone on too. And I'm using this Old Tex 60 pick, which I like the sound of that. The Old Tex picks have a certain kind of the plastic that they use, I think, has a little bit softer sound than, say, like a standard Fender medium. And notice I'm picking kind of soft. I think it works really well with that flugelhorn sound I'm using too. Now if I hit it hard, then I'm going to get more of a distorted sound. Okay, so that was the third line there. Okay, so now let's go on to the next one. So I think the interesting thing here is on that second bar. Yeah, so he talks about this on the previous page, to kind of roll your finger from the E flat to B flat. All right, so that's a really good technique. Then you're going to roll your finger. Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of the young players I see, even like really good, like these young players that I see, I hardly see anybody do that. Everybody's always using a different finger. I kind of find it fascinating. I mean, I think Gambale, he certainly does a lot of these kind of rolls with the same finger, with the sweep picking. But a lot of these young jazz guys, I don't see them do this. And I watch a lot of videos. I'm retired, so I watch a lot of these young guys play who have an amazing technique. But I don't really see this technique. So I would really encourage you to do this in both directions. Roll this way and roll that way. So and try to do it with every single finger. Okay, so this one here is a little trickier to move. I'll just move it to one spot. How about I'll go here. Then you have to come here. So that technique is the same. I'll do it one more time. So so in this particular book, he's showing slides, so there's no slur note over it. So whether you repick that or not would be up to you. That would be considered articulation. Okay, now going on to the F9 chord. Oh, actually, let me just talk about the chords there briefly on that. So E flat major 7, and then E flat major 9. Then I went back to E flat major 7, and then because of the A note, I decided to use E flat major 7 flat 5. So that was just something that I came up with based on what I was hearing in the harmony. So again, so major 7, E flat major 9, flat 5. And when I'm doing with my bass, do, boo, do, ba, 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 ba. So that's what I decided for my backing track. So a little tangent, so I'll talk about the backing track. So that's me using an iPad, and I'm using Notion soft, tab writing software, and then I'm writing it out on the iPad, exporting out the MIDI file, and then exporting it to Ableton Live. And right now I'm using Ableton Live intro. So this is all new, to make these backing tracks, and then trying to figure out how to use Ableton Live and the clips, and then sending the backing track, creating it in the arrangement view, and then putting it on my iPad, and then using it for the backing track here. So stay posted for this backing track. I'll post this usually a day or so after I post this video. Then I'll post the backing track. So that was what I came up with there. Okay, so the next example, the F9. I'll talk about the chords. I think I did like F9. So what I'm doing here is I'm playing the F with that bass sound. Okay, and then for the chords, I'm just using this part. So the top part, F9, top 4 strings, and then the 13, I'm using that. Something like that. Okay, so then this one here, there's that 4th finger slide. Yeah, I think I messed it up the first time. All right, I'll move that to a couple different places. So you can go here. So when you use that finger, you can kind of see the you can kind of see the chromatic into the chord tone, and then chromatic into that chord tone. So again, from here, chromatic. Yes, I guess some people would call that like what do they call those? A double chromatic approach, or appoggiatura, or enclosure. Yeah, I never really learned about those things, but I'm just reading the music, what they have here. Okay, and then let me see. Let me move it to here. I guess that's the same. Let's move it down the octave just for giggle. Kind of interesting down there. I'll do it one more time. So it's okay, that's that one. Okay, and then last but not least, this one here. There's that 4. There's what he's talking about. The point he's trying to make is that you have a position, and then you use your 4th finger or your 1st finger to extend the position. 4th finger. So that's a nice thing with the I guess that's the diminished there. Okay, so then the chords that I use G minor 9, G minor 7, and then C13 flat 9. I use this voicing to F major 7. So you can see in the original book, he just shows a G minor 7th chord. But as I was playing through these and getting ready for this video, I thought, well, G minor 9, G minor 7, and then it just kind of sounded to me, like a 5 to 1. So your root would be here, C, flat 9, and then 13. Okay, I'll move this around here. I'll start it here. That's one way to do it. How about? I didn't practice any of this. That one's a little bit harder to see. And then the way it was originally. Let me just try playing it up the octave. Right, so you can see how you can get a lot of interesting ideas just by knowing how to read music, taking a sheet of music, a real book, a fake book, a transcription that somebody wrote of trumpet, saxophone, piano, and then playing it in your own way.